And I'm so glad you had a couple minutes to join us tonight. And we've been off. We've been taking a couple weeks off, trying to regroup. I guess it was more me being pissed off, kind of the way the season ended. I'm not gonna lie, but see, I'm different than a lot of Buckeye fans. I don't look as losing one game, being a failure, and getting mad and wanting to fire everybody. That's not me. But I was, I do get disappointed, and I needed a little time to regroup, so I didn't jump on Twitter and say something stupid. But before we get into all that, we were talking about the Bama game. Mm-hmm. I say Bama game because I don't want to say the other word. And we were pretty impressed with the defensive line, and we kind of, both of us felt like the reason that team up north ended up winning that game was Bama had struggles blocking those guys. You know more about offensive line than we do. What did you think about Alabama's offensive line, which on paper is a very good group?
I mean, I do say the team. I say their name. I say Michigan. I went 5-0, so I feel like I own a little bit. So
you're allowed.
You ever catch me wearing blue or saying like I could do that because I own them up here. But
you got some gold. You got a couple pairs of gold pants.
Yeah. That's for sure, right? So, but they in the trenches they played well. I think it was surprising to me, essentially how bad Alabama offense looked, right?
Yeah.
I mean, going into it, I thought the difference of the game would be Monroe and him being able to kind of use his legs and kind of be able to kind of create explosive plays for Alabama, and essentially really wasn't any of that. I mean, the only weapon they had was him really like kind of QB runs, more or less, type of attack. So up front, I say they definitely did the job. Did not expect all those sacks. I mean, and it was early too, right? Like the first drive, I think they got like 2 sacks or something like that against Alabama. And from there, just kind of kept going that direction. Alabama still, in my opinion, still had the game. And they had that late turnover that kind of put them back in it. But I feel like that's Michigan's bread and butter right now. I mean, they are getting guys in, maybe not some of the highest scouted guys, but they're developing these guys. Like you're seeing guys kind of come in at one level, and then before they leave, they are essentially definitely prepared to go on to the next level into the NFL. And that's something that as a former player, you just got to tip your cap to. Like I wasn't one of the highest recruits going into Ohio State, but I came in, figured out what I needed to improve at. The coaches was there for me. They stuck with me. They developed me, and then I was able to kind of go on and be a good player for Ohio State and kind of dip my foot into the next level as well. So, I mean, you can't hate against them, basically. When you see stuff like that, them taking guys – essentially, in my opinion, never really heard of them. And before they leave, like they're kind of a real issue, a real problem on the field for their opponents. And you just got to, you got to respect it a little bit for sure.
No doubt. I mean, that's the reason. Now, Bama did have a chance, as you just mentioned, to win that game. I mean, they were up 7. They had the ball, and then things kind of went wrong on them, which was, I think, my fault because it was the first time I've ever cheered for Bama and the first time I've ever seen them lose. But, at least we got a good game. Me and James were just talking, Bryant, before you joined us about the bowl season. And it was kind of disappointing to me. I mean, as a person who used to watch every bowl game and used to kind of love to sit there and watch, whoever play against whoever in whatever bowl game, I got to be honest, it was a little bit disappointing. Do you feel like, I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit here, but do you feel like, next year with the 12-team playoff that might kind of enhance, the postseason of college football and bring back some of the luster?
Yeah, and I want to ask you, was you disappointed just due to, I guess, the feeling of big games, or just like the players sitting out, or I guess let me ask you that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like in the Buckeyes game, for example. I mean, the way we were just talking about how the portal opens up before the ball games come on. So guys, I don't have a problem with guys leaving and going places. I'm all for guys being able to transfer one time, hopefully, not 4. But whatever, we'll get into that. We'll get into that here in a minute.
What? JT Daniels can't go to 4 different schools?
Yeah, no, he's retired. He retired from college football after his 5th team. But I'm all for guys being able to, go to a better situation or whatever. But I just think the timing of the way they've set this up, where guys can, opt out and get in the portal. And then, there's still one more game left or 2 or 3 more games left, depending on where we're at. I feel like that kind of, screws things up, considering some guys are opting out anyway because they're going to the league. And then you got these transfers missing, and it's posing some problems for some teams. Get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, like you say, it makes sense. I mean, the bowl game is essentially like it's a continuation of your season, right? It's not a new season, right?
Right.
And what you've seen a lot this season was obviously you got the opt-out, but this season it was like a lot of teams was like basically new teams for this bowl game. It was like they got this one game season, and it's like a new quarterback that you never, some young quarterback, a quarterback you never heard of for some teams, and they're going out there and they're trying to perform, and guys are kind of getting an opportunity. But I feel what you're saying. Like the spirit of it is supposed to be the same team. Like this is the same team that played 12, 13 games this season. This is their last opportunity to kind of go out together. So I don't really care for it as well. That portal date is someone have to explain to me why is it that day. I don't really know. It doesn't. I've seen a couple of videos on it, and none of them really made sense. So I think that needs to be adjusted. I mean, guys sitting out for the NFL, I get it if you're Marvin Harrison Jr., but if you're a 3rd, 4th, 5th round guy, I don't get that. Like I understand it. It's not like you have life changing generational wealth coming your way when you're, first 2, 3 picks in the draft. To me, in my opinion on the situation is, football, you get to play football for this limited time. I mean, everybody call it NFL not for long. College is limited, right? I know you got guys playing for like 5, 6 years now due to the craziness, but that was settled back down and it become once again a 3, 4, possibly 5-year deal. And, once you go to the NFL, who knows, right? You could be drafted, you could play a long career, you could be a Hall of Famer and play for 10 years, but you also could play one season and essentially that'd be the end of your career, and all you played was maybe 4 preseason games that didn't even get tallied to the record for the season. So in my opinion, it's like you got to play games. I mean, you do a lot of work to kind of have an opportunity to play football. It's literally as you guys know, it's a year-round thing. And so when you get an opportunity to play in a game, in my opinion, is you don't miss it, not for essentially basically almost anything in the world. If you're healthy, if you're able-bodied to do it, you go out there and do it. I see what you're saying. Hopefully with the playoffs go to 12, obviously there's not just 4 teams that feel they have opportunity. Now you have more teams that feel like they have an opportunity to achieve that goal. So they will stick around for the program, stick around for the playoffs. I know essentially since Alabama lost, they had 9 guys jump into the portal. So those guys stuck around. They knew they probably wanted to go, but they wanted to be there for their team for that opportunity. But you seen Texas, on the other hand, lost their backup quarterback right to the portal. And you kind of felt that situation from him, but it's just it's dumb timing, right? It just kind of it hurts. I got to do what's best for myself now. This dumb timing. I would love to be here, but I kind of got to take care of myself and kind of see what I could do. So I think the 12 teams was help. Looking forward to it, but I do say I don't know what we're gonna do about that transfer portal, the date of it, right? I just cook it out a month. Like what's I don't understand the big deal. I feel like someone should just write a letter or something and stamp it, and that's what it is.
Yeah, no, they need to kick it out. It's a mess. And as you said, I've heard a lot of people try and explain it to me, but all in all, it makes no sense. And we're going to get into how it affected our team. And I say talking about the Buckeyes because it screwed up our entire bowl game for sure. And it did that for a couple teams. But at least I have hope because I saw these 2 semifinal games, and both of those games were pretty solid.
Yeah.
And just looking into this finals, I want to get both your guys' thoughts on what you think about this championship game, and what you think about what's coming up for us here next Monday night, I guess now. We got, Michael Penix, who I think got snubbed for the Heisman. This dude is legit. He's the best player on the best team. And Jaden Daniels is a hell of a quarterback too. But hell, the guy had 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns against Grambling State and Georgia State. And that padded his stats. So I feel like Penix got screwed a little bit. and I feel like he's legit. But I don't know. I don't know whether or not they can beat the Wolverines. I want to get both your guys' thoughts. James, I'll start with you. What do you think about this national championship game, and who you like? I guess is my question for you.
Well, I've said it from the get-go. I mean, it's hard. I keep going back and forth in this one because, like, you look at Penix, he's not a running quarterback, but at the same time, he doesn't get sacked. I mean, hell, Texas has got a really good defensive line, and he didn't even get hit in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, Murphy and Sweat are both going to be first-round draft picks, if not early second. I mean, they are game-changing defensive tackles, and he never hit the ground once. And look what he did to that defensive backfield. I mean, he torched them. He was on point. I mean, granted, how many teams except, well, Ohio State have 3 NFL-ready receivers? I mean, Adunzie, Polk, and McMillan are great. The problem there's Dylan Johnson's out. So that means Penix has got to run up the middle to make sure, Michigan honors the run. Otherwise, they're going to sit back and play the pass the entire time. Plus, those DNs are going to come in from the side. And I don't think Washington has seen the type of defensive line, except maybe Oregon, all year. That's why, I mean, right now, I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to probably go Michigan. But I think it's going to be razor thin. But if Washington can get up on them quick and just keep their neck, knee on their neck, Washington can pull this one off. Their defense has got to stop the ball because Michigan's going to run the ball to take time off the clock.
Yeah. Bryant, what do you feel like? You think Michigan can get this done and win one more?
No. Well, I'm hoping they don't.
Oh, I pray they don't. I pray they don't. I don't know.
Right. No, I feel like I mean, all your points make perfect sense. But I feel like this is just a special year for Washington, right? And that's really what I'm banking on. It's a special year for Washington. They got Penix. He's a special player. And he's going to take some pressure. Washington did a great job protecting him against Texas, as we saw. But I don't think they would have that same level of success. There's going to be he's going to get hit some. He might even throw an interception trying to rush a ball. I just feel like with his ability his special ball placement when he has the time, when he has the opportunity to do so, I feel that would be a huge strength from him. Michigan's defensive backfield, I'm not overly impressed by them, so I feel like they could be had. But as we know, up front is really want to kind of disrupt things and kind of make the game tough for Washington. So I feel like Washington may have to be a little bit more creative on protecting them. Maybe, go out and do a little bit more Mex Pro and kind of run some 2-man routes and things of that nature when they had the opportunity. And that's what I'm hoping would happen, right? I know their running back got hurt. I'm sure they have another capable guy. I feel like this is a game, even if the run is not working, they have to do it. You still have to kind of do it to kind of stay on the minds of Michigan that you have the ability. So I'm hoping that they go out there and do that as well. And then defensively, I feel like Washington, that unit is really just all year has just been making plays, right? I mean, when you watch them, it's just like they're just timely, like, everything is not pretty. Obviously, they don't have a ton of guys. They got enough, but they just are timely about when they do make a play. And I just feel, once again, that they could go out there, get it done for one more night, go out there Monday, stick in the game, obviously put an extra man in the box, because if you stop the run, that you have to stop the run against Michigan. If not, they wanted to teams that's smart about it. They'll just keep running the ball if it's working. So put an extra man in the box and make JJ beat you. In my opinion, you have to make JJ McCarthy beat you. Stop the run. It's funny. I feel like every game you watch, it's like the running game is really what's killing the team, and then JJ McCarthy get a trophy at the end of it.
Yeah.
We said that same thing, Brian. We were like, we watched that game. We're like, man, he played like trash. And then you look at the end, and his stats were pretty decent. And then they're handing him the damn game ball, and I'm like,
game ball. Like, what is going on? Like, this running back is making whatever. But that's, you got to beat them. So I feel like hopefully Washington's in a position to beat them. It's funny enough. I seen it was like a tweet or something random or something on Instagram, and they said, like, they put up a date. They said Michael Penix beat Michigan like at a sooner date before Ohio State did. So it's like, do it again, right, Mike?
Yeah, no, he beat
Do
him
it
in
again,
2020 when he was on Indiana. And this guy is special, and that's why I said, I feel like he kind of got snubbed for the Heisman, because it's like every big moment this year for Washington when there had to be a play, he's got it done. And he's got good wide receivers, don't get me wrong, but that's kind of why this team is special, because they've got that guy at quarterback, they've got playmakers, and as we just discussed, the line is getting it done too, right, James?
I mean, the guy won at Indiana. At Indiana.
Yeah.
I mean, if the guy is a freaking gamer, that's why I keep looking at these mock drafts, and they've got May ahead of him. They got Daniels ahead of him. I mean, Williams, I could see. But how is this guy not in the mock draft a top 5 pick? Like, I don't get it. I mean, just because he throws left-handed, guess what? We've had other quarterbacks that have thrown left-handed. The guy just knows how to win games. You can't teach that. It's either you got it or you don't.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm a big believer in him. I liked him when he was at Indiana. I still remember that play against Penn State when he dove in and ran in that. I think it was a 2-point conversion actually to win the game. And I just, at that moment, I'm like, this guy is for real. And it's continued on since then. He battled injuries, but when healthy, this guy is for real. And
but remember, Jeremy Pruitt didn't like him. That's why he didn't go to Tennessee.
Yeah, well, you see where Jeremy Pruitt is now. He's not even coaching high school, so that's probably, there's probably a reason for that. But you talk about the Washington, being where they're at because of their quarterback position, and I got to talk about where the Buckeyes season ended. I mean, 11-1. I felt like it was a good season. My biggest thing was Bryant. The defense struggled the last couple of years. And I felt like last year when Knowles came in, he started to make strides. And then this year, man, without him there, they could have lost 4 or 5 games easy because that defense just, won games for them at times. And, the offensive line, took a lot of heat, I feel like. I want to get your thoughts on, what you felt like the season, unfolded down the stretch. 11-1 is 11-1. But, it was just like nobody was ever happy with this team. And I'm not sure why, and we talk about Dabo Swinney when he, some caller in his call-in show pissed him off big time. And he's like, part of the problem is you guys. He's like, everybody's got a damn Twitter account. Everybody's got an Instagram, and they all want to complain even when you win. And that's just not me, man. When you win, I'm happy. I don't care if it's a point or if you come back from 30 or whatever. But what did you think about this team and this season as a whole for the Buckeyes? And what were your thoughts after the season concluded?
Yeah. Now I'm with you. Football, it's tough to win football games. So I know at Ohio State, right? We got all these type recruits that we usually are used to our offense kind of going out there and scoring all these points. And essentially, I mean, we're a spoiled bunch, man, when it comes down to it. So it's like, we win a game. And for whatever reason, everything didn't look fantastic, 100%. We just didn't absolutely blow them out the water. And most people's heads are on fire. Like, we need to make changes. I'm not one of those guys, right? I appreciate a win when, I played under Tressel. So we didn't blow a ton of teams out, but I know we won a lot of games that was pretty comfortable. And essentially, that's how we played the game. So this year, we started with a new quarterback, right? McCord came into his own. He had some competition early, didn't really much competition, right? But McCord kind of ran the show. And McCord, he was not C.J. Stroud. He was not Justin Fields, but he was fine enough. Yep. He was fine enough. I would say he did a good job at protecting the ball in some tough situations. Against Notre Dame, no turnovers. I think we had against Penn State, we might have had one, but it was like at a time where it didn't really cost us a ton. Against Michigan, obviously we had a turnover, then we lose the game. But for the most of the season, he did a good job at being trying to really protect the ball. The offensive line struggled essentially early in the season, especially short yardage. A lot of times I didn't really quite understand what was the plan, short yardage. Throughout the season, they improved. And essentially, I just felt like going into it, 11-1 is, nothing to sneeze at. Obviously, I'm really upset because we lost. The one loss is to Michigan, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather that one loss to be to Minnesota, Penn State, another organization. I prefer that one loss not to be to Michigan. So I'm really upset at the season, but it's just because we lost to Michigan. I felt like McCord and our unit was good enough to come out with that win, and unfortunately we did not. But like you say, the defense was tenfold better than the last couple of seasons. Against Michigan, I know going into the Michigan game, I know we never gave up more than 17 points. Same thing in a bowl game in 14. Obviously, we lost to Michigan. I can't think of the score of the game. Was it 31? I forgot.
30 to 24?
Yeah, 30-24.
30-24. Yeah, so obviously we gave up more points there, but that's the only game all season that, we gave up more than 17 points. So I feel that that's something you can hang your hat on, right? A lot of our guys are coming back defensively. Like I said, when I was at Ohio State, our defense was like that as well. They led us to many victories. We got about 10 and we playing certain teams. Like, there's no way this team is going to score that many points against our defense. It's just not going to happen. I know what type of guys we have over there. So I feel like that's back, that silver bullet defense. Obviously, some things we need to improve on offensively as a unit, especially up front. Next year, we'll be welcoming a new quarterback, whoever that may be, one of our young guys, someone out of the transfer portal. Obviously, there's a ton of rumors around that as well. But it was a successful year. We went 11-1. We lost to Michigan. I feel like us losing to Michigan, us losing the bowl game, not making the playoffs, hopefully that clicks to our guys and we figure out how to beat that team up north. Because that, to me, that's very important. But I'm not going to say it was a bad year because we won 11-1. I mean, we beat a lot of that Notre Dame game will forever be legendary. How we won that game. Before the season, a lot of people was picking Penn State over Ohio State. We know we went out there and we took care of the business there, and we came within one touchdown of being a team up north, which is not good enough. But it's not like we laid an egg like we did the last two seasons. So
yeah, no, they played a lot better. And James, I want to get your thoughts on kind of what unfolded after the season ended. I mean, as we just talked about, everybody's got a damn opinion these days. I do too, but I know people don't really care what my opinion is, and that's why sometimes I don't voice it. But I understand how hard it is. I mean, winning games is tough to begin with, but then when teams, beating the Buckeyes can be like a Super Bowl for some of these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, every week is like a huge game for Ohio State because if the other team wins, that's all anybody talks about. Yeah. The Buckeyes win, Bryant, nobody gives a shit. But when the Buckeyes lose, it's fucking front page news. Right. And it's tough to be the coach. It's tough to be the quarterback. And I understand that those guys are under tons of pressure. But James, I'll start off with you on this. What did you think about when you heard that McCord was bouncing? And what did you feel like? Did you feel like he was going to go to Syracuse? Were you surprised when you heard that's where he was ending up? And what give me some insight into this because I'm still trying to figure it out.
I forgot my tinfoil hat I was going to wear today on that issue because it's amazing the rumors associated with that. I felt bad for Kyle McCord because no matter how hard he tries, he is going to be compared to Dwayne Haskins, Justin Fields, and C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
And he's a great quarterback, but he ain't those three. He's just not. No matter how hard. Kyle McCord. Well, yeah, exactly. Who is? I mean, like we were talking before the show. Name me three quarterbacks back-to-back throughout college football history that were that legendary, except maybe, Leinart, Palmer, Leinart, and Sanchez? Yeah. And I would still take the Ohio State three over them. Yeah. I mean, he was in a no-win situation unless he won all of his games and won the national championship. And I mean, the offensive line was not a strength this year. I mean, that we've been talking about this the last 2 years. The depth at those positions, and I think it's kind of an Achilles heel from a recruiting standpoint, or maybe it's a development standpoint. Why isn't there more depth at the offensive line? Because I mean, that's kind of been a hallmark throughout all of Ohio State history as their line of scrimmage play. Hell, after Orlando Pace, guess what? There was another great left tackle that came in. There's always that strength on that line of scrimmage. And hell, it just wasn't there this year as it hasn't been in past years.
Yeah, no, Brian, I agree with that to a point. I mean, think about last year. We had Thanos out there at right tackle, who's been dominating in the
Yeah.
NFL. His stock dropped a little bit for whatever reason going into the draft. I saw the Browns take him in the third, fourth round, and I was like, that's a steal of the draft. And then Paris Johnson Jr. I saw him play at St. X. I saw him play at Princeton. And then watched him play at the Buckeyes, and then saw him get drafted number 6 overall. And it did kind of feel like we didn't really replace those two guys. I know we went out in the portal and got Simmons, but talk to us a little bit about the offensive line and why you think there was maybe a little bit of a drop off this year.
I wish I could tell you why, because I can't say why. So I went to a couple of practices and I watched our off the line coach, right?
Yeah. What do you think of him? I guess is my real question. Because everybody wants him gone.
Yeah, I don't think we should let that guy go. When I watched him coach, with my eyes, right? He don't know who I am. I'm actually met him at the captain's dinner this year. Before that, no idea who I am. I'm just a guy on the sideline at practice, right? I mean, he coaches. He is coaching the right things. Yeah. He is coaching hard. He's coaching everyone. Like he's coaching as hard as he coaches the starters and as hard as he coaches the backup. Right.
Yeah.
But I know it's two phases to essentially to football and to playing in the game. It's one, what you're coaching, right? Like drills, fundamentals, things of that nature. And then what are you going over in the film room, right? Because obviously with football, there's a ton of film into it. So even if you got the right technique, are you looking at the right things to do the right things once the ball is snapped or the defense does something a little bit different? So now that's the part I can't get in on, right? I can't go to film and see how's that taking place. Watching what they're doing in practice, they're doing the right things, they're going about the right manner, they're playing, they're practicing hard, and like I say, that's across the whole unit. But when I watched the games, it was like something I couldn't quite put a finger on. So when it comes down to, I'm gonna have to blame the coaching because I can't quite put a finger on it because I'm not in the room to know exactly everything that's going on. But when I watch a guy like Simmons at left tackles, and there's no hiding it, right? He had a lot of what we call MAs or missed assignments throughout the season. It's not, and even across our unit in general, they're not, well, except for the bowl game. Usually we're not getting beat physical, right?
Yeah.
Usually, once we're going to the right direction, we're trying to lock on guys, we're winning those blocks. There's a ton of us just missing guys and not, in my opinion, us taking the right people once the ball snapping out. Started early in the season, once again with the short yardage issues. And we still was having issues later into the season with it as well. And just knowing exactly who we should be taking when it's a blitz, when we're going to the second level in the run game. It just kind of a lot of that was missing. So I would say either one or two things. Either the coach is not emphasizing enough or the players are not learning it good enough, right? Quick enough for understanding it with their experience. So I would say I can't say the players are dumb, right? So I'm just going to say that wherever it was, it wasn't getting emphasized enough that our guys were kind of grasping onto it and things of that nature. Because there's some of the mistakes that I saw, it just wasn't good football. But even if the coach didn't say anything, and this happened in the bowl game, it was early in the game. Missouri kind of ran like their defensive end was kind of standing, or they kind of show up on the end of the scrimmage late. We're running a inside zone. A guy pop up on the edge, running to the left. A guy pop up on the edge. Without knowing anything, it's only us blocking. It's us 5 units. There's no fullback. There's no tight end coming that direction. You should know that due to the play call. If someone pop up on a line of scrimmage, we need to take him. If not, he's going to make the tackle in the backfield if he comes. Yeah. Right? This I don't have to explain that to you guys. It just makes sense. We're running to the left. There's someone on the line of scrimmage. We probably need to block him. If not, he's going to make the play. Yeah. We don't block the guy. We like
untouched.
Double team. We like double team the inside guy and kind of look inside for someone else that's not there because the guy that you're looking for is at the line of scrimmage, and he gets a tackle in the backfield. It's just like I don't understand. I just don't quite get it why stuff like this happens and why it happens so frequently to the point of almost like it's like if we don't know exactly at the snap, it's either we just don't know enough at the snap, we just don't know enough football, or we just don't understand the offensive play enough to make a smart decision and just kind of go the right direction most of the time so you can have a successful play.
Yeah, no, there was definitely some whiffs, and I feel like part of that I believe was Missouri's got a good front. I think they got some talented guys. I mean, this is a team that their only losses were to LSU. They lost to Georgia on the road, at the end because of an interception. So this isn't like a team that sucks. And I feel like they had some talent over there, but I also feel like, with the inexperience at quarterback, they knew that we were going to try and run the ball. Okay. Yeah. And I felt like they were kind of teeing off on that. They were just, coming after the running backs on every play. They had extra guys in the box, but it was kind of alarming. Just the guys coming through untouched. That I guess was, I agree with you. That was what was kind of bothering me. What did you think, James?
There was one play where literally the center and the two guards whiffed on all three guys. Like, I don't think, it was just like, I can only imagine that freshman was about ready to crap himself, not figuratively, literally. I guarantee you there was a manager with a new pair of pants because you knew there was a brown streak going up his ass. I mean, he doesn't even have the ball yet, and they're already across the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I didn't really understand the change made in the offensive line either, Brian. Can you explain that to me? Because I was kind of confused by that.
By saying no, I can't.
Okay, because I was confused by that.
I do my show, Believe in Buckeyes, with my college roommate and All-American Chimney Checker, right? So, I went to the game. I'm sitting in the stands now. The game starts, and obviously, first couple of plays, we're like losing yards right away. The first play, I think we lost first 4 yards on on some type of outside run we were trying with Travion. Yep. So I'm looking, I'm like, who's snapping the ball? That don't seem like Henson. That's the starter who was there all season. Yeah. It don't seem like Henson. Like, whose number is that? Like 55. Like, that's Matt Jones. That's the right guard. Yeah. So I'm looking like, then who's that right guard? And I'm looking like, I don't know this guy. So I got to look up the roster on my phone and figure out who the guy is. It's like he's a senior. And then I'm just like, okay, well, maybe if Henson is dressed, I can see him on the sideline. He's dressed, right? Like, like he could play. He's ready to play. But, college, they don't go over injuries, right? So he could have hurt something really bad, tried to give it a go, couldn't go. So it's like, well, this is what we have for today, right? Yeah. So then after the game, the press, Coach Day, like, what was going on with the offensive line? And he says, like, we wanted to give back. We felt like Henson was struggling in the last couple of weeks. So it's like, last couple of weeks in practice? Like, struggling there? Like, that don't really make a lot of sense. But then he said, like, he just felt that Matt Jones gave him the best opportunity to win today. And I was just like, well, he didn't. Like,
no, he did not.
Didn't because he wasn't in his, normal position. The guy that you had at right guard, I don't like to talk bad about guys, but I think the speed of the game, he kind of struggled with Missouri and that defensive line, the way they kind of could move. They had smaller guys and they could move. Yeah. And he kind of struggled with that. So my opinion is like, what was the plan? Like this guy's kind of struggling. You got a guy here that's able-bodied. You got young quarterbacks. You're not gonna play your best 5 today. It don't make a lot of sense.
Bryant, don't you get worried like at the beginning of a game and you see a guy on the field? Because let's be honest, by the end of the year, even if guys change numbers, the guys on the team. You pretty much know the backups. If you've got to look on the roster and see who it is in the first quarter, you always have that. I always have this bad feeling in my head. Something bad's going to happen today. And it's just, oh my God. Granted, let's be honest. Every team craps the bed at some point. It's now you got 9 months to think about it and right the ship, no matter who the quarterback's going to be. But heck, at the same time, Browning is just doing a hell of a job on the defensive side of the ball. Depending on who ends up in the draft. Do you see Burke going, and who do you see ending up like the change out on that defensive side of the ball?
Well, we'll see. With Mike Hall, he announced, right, that Tyleek Williams announced that he's staying, which is huge. He had, out of the tackles, he had, I think, the best season, and he decided to come back for another year. I think that's definitely going to help us out. If I had a season like this, Lil Burke, and I know how high corners get drafted, if I'm really considering coming out.
I would bounce.
Yeah, I would consider coming out if I was him. And obviously we have a spiel young guys, cornerbacks in that position that will, fit fine, right? And then obviously we're losing. Who's leaving? Obviously Tommy Eichenberg is gone.
Eichenberg's gone. Steel Chambers
Steel
also.
Chambers gone.
He's going to the draft.
Yeah. So I feel like a lot of that is going to come down to what Cody Simon decides to do.
Yeah.
Cody Simon was always basically there in the mix for several years, but he just kind of played behind Tommy. So you went with Tommy, and then this year he kind of learned Steel Chamber position, so he kind of played some positions there. But if he comes back, I feel like the defense is. I mean, you have another general out there to replace Tommy, and basically everybody else to kind of fit in how they may. I'm not gonna say. I'm concerned of what's going to happen with the defensive ends, right? We got Jack Sawyer and JT. Don't know what decisions they're going to make. But if they leave, I feel like that tough holds the field more or less.
Yeah.
But they have to kind of make that decision. If it's me, I would like to see them come back just because I feel like they could be a little bit more dynamic. Both of them. You've seen Sawyer kind of do it in the bowl game. I feel like you should have a season like that, like being that disruptive. JT kind of in his spots was disruptive and kind of, hit or miss. But I feel like they have some more that they could kind of do to kind of leave at that top tier defensive end as we've been seeing from our other guys from Ohio State.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I like both those guys, okay? I think both of them have a lot of talent. Obviously, both of them were, blue chip, highly rated prospects. Have either of them, lived up to the billing? I mean, that's tough. I mean, to live up to the number one pick, number one rated player, that's hard to do, first off. It's tough to live up to that. And I don't want to say that either one of them, isn't as good as advertised or, is a bust or anything like that. Cause I don't feel like that. They've both flashed. But I JT may leave, and I could see him just solely based on potential and based on some of his bigger flashes could get drafted high. I don't really see Jack Sawyer being a first or second round pick. James, am I crazy thinking that? I mean, you see Jack Sawyer going in the first or second round?
Both of them had games, but they didn't have a year that you could really wrap your head around. I mean. Granted, as much as NFL scouts love the freaking combine, and you know how I feel the combine is glorified presidential physical fitness test. I mean, those guys could combine out well and move up, but honestly, I could see Sawyer being a fourth rounder because for every great move he makes, there's a what the hell moment. And I think him getting another year to really refine those skills. I mean, both of them have top 15, top 10 potential.
Yeah.
But, you look back at Ohio State having that string of great defensive ends with the Bosas, with Chase Young. Both of them have the skill set to take it to that next level where they become the disruptor, especially in third and long situations, which, I mean, you got to win first and second down then. Otherwise, you're just lining guys up ready to get teed off.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting to see what happens. I mean, I thought maybe Zach might come back last year, and he didn't. And so everybody's got to make their own decision. But I do think it would behoove both of them to come back. Bryant, another thing I want to get from you before we get out of here, it's crazy to me seeing kids like, Noah Rogers. I'm not picking on him, but I'm just using him as an example. This kid was pretty highly recruited. He was actually supposed to come on our show and never showed up, but whatever. He joins the Buckeyes, signs, comes up there for a year, gets to see Marv and Abuka and all the boys, and then he leaves, without ever getting to play. That's, I guess, what really confuses me about the portal. Like, did he think he was going to come in and start right away? And how do you see the portal, continuing to change college football? Because there's really it's tough because guys aren't really like, we were talking about developing players earlier. It's tough to develop if you go to 3 schools in 3 years or I mean, it's tough to develop. So I guess I just want to get your thoughts on, you mentioned yourself, getting in Ohio State, learning from the other guys, learning from the coaches, improving your body, improving your technique, and then becoming an all Big Ten player. How do you do that if you're going to a different team every year?
Yeah, I don't understand the mindset, right? I feel like I've seen Nick Saban, and I don't know. I think it's kind of about a year or so ago, but he's just kind of willing to spew him like naming all these basically Alabama greats, first round talent guys that was great for Alabama, good in the NFL as well, and all these guys didn't play as freshmen. Like all these guys either redshirted or they saw the field very minimum as freshmen. And then they still had a good 2 year 2 and year 3, and they went on to the NFL. They even had to stay there 4 years because they was able to kind of, show what they could do and kind of move on from there in their 2 seasons. I don't understand the mindset. Like I say, I think it's twofold. Guys they feel like they should have played a little bit more as a freshman, and so since they didn't, they're gonna go to a school. I think he might have committed to like North Carolina State. I feel like I've seen something like that today.
Okay.
And I don't understand. Like, all these Ohio State great receivers that are developing here, playing here, and they go on to have successful careers that you just come and only give it a year. Now, if you're Julian Fleming, you played in the program for 4 years. You did some things well, some things you could have maybe did better, and you're like, okay, my last year I'm going to go back to Penn State and see if I could, have a crazy year and kind of boost up that makes a little bit more sense to me, right?
I agree.
For 1 year, come in, you don't really play, and then you just out the door. It's like, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't think that's what you should do. I think you should stick around a little bit, especially when you're at a program like Ohio State, and try to develop and become better from there. Now, second fold to it, obviously, NIL exists, right? So some guys are basically being enticed to get into the portal to kind of, pick schools and things of that nature, or at least kind of hear what you could get from there. So I don't know if that's his case, right? Maybe.
Yeah, but you think he's making more money? He's making more money at the Wolfpack?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out for him. Like, I don't know. Maybe someone said, they could get him a little something, and he's like, well, I got basically nothing here. I might as well go get a little something from over there, and maybe that makes a decision. I don't know. I don't like it. Don't make sense to me. I understand guys late in their careers get into the portal, right?
Yeah.
It didn't work out for you, or if you're even if you're a quarterback, right? You don't prove that you could play this well, and someone would give you a lot of money. I kind of could understand that, but for a guy that didn't play, that's young, it's like almost like you're wasting time.
Yeah, I agree. If you wanted to get on the field right away and wanted to be the guy or whatever, why did you go to Ohio State in the first place? Is my question. Exactly. James, you had a follow up. What's up?
Well, I the one thing I like the transfer portal to an extent, but the one thing that bothers me in many ways is you see, like, you take your 5 years at Ohio State, and you think of how you were mentally, physically, and football wise as a freshman through the time you left the program and how much you grew. Don't you believe in a lot of ways with the transfer portal that these kids jumping around, that they're kind of stunting their not only physical growth, but mental growth and football growth too as well, where if they stuck at one program, they could have been better later on? I mean, not only talk about it from your perspective, but in general as well.
Yeah, so I would say we talked about Josh Simmons, right? He transferred over from San Diego State, and he essentially, I'm pretty sure he missed spring ball, right? He kind of jumped in the portal like late, like January, February type of, but he didn't commit to a school until right before camp. We was done with spring ball before he committed to Ohio State, and so I was like, well, he couldn't. In my mind, I'm pretty sure he had to miss spring ball, like the way you kind of. So that's 15 practices right there that this kid missed out on, of him just could have been here, learning the playbook, getting better, improving, working out with a facility. Because if you're not on the team, obviously you're not working out with a team, and you're just kind of missing all these things. I'm sure he was trying to do something on his own, and you're kind of missing things, right? And so Noah Rodgers, if you jump into the portal right now, you have to think he probably was thinking, it's been on his mind for a while, right? It's been on his mind Like he just didn't wake up one morning like, you know, I'm just gonna. And it's been something that's on his mind. So how was his practices leading up to this, right? Like if you're thinking about leaving, are you going out there really even giving your best? Are you really learning everything you can? If you got the mindset that, you know, as soon as this window's open up, I'm taking a step out there. So you could see how he probably missing reps there. And with the sport, I mean, you know, all these kids get into the portal, and you know, another thing some people talk about it, but a lot of these kids are getting in the portal, and be frank, they're not going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
They
go to the portal and they stay there.
Yeah.
They go in the portal and essentially go home. They get in the portal and they go home, and then that's the end of their college career.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, you know, when you're coming from a big school, you would think you could land somewhere, but we all know everyone is not transferring from Ohio State and Alabama, right? You got, you know, schools from down low all the way in between are doing the same. So, you know, I just think guys got to be careful with it. Just got to be careful with it and try to do what's best to achieve your goal. And I know when you came to college football, most likely your goal was to play in the NFL. And just make sure the decision that you're making really aligns to that and giving you a good opportunity to get that done. Because sometimes, like I said, I don't know where people's minds are at when they're making these decisions.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And you know, everybody thinks that the portal's like specifically geared to help these kids. And in a way it is, but really it's geared to help the high end guys. You know, the middle players, mid-tier guys to the lower tier guys, it's not really set up for them. And you know, you go somewhere for a year, you got NIL money. A lot of these NIL deals are a year. You know, they give you a year's worth of money. It's not like they give you a 5-year contract. They may have a deal with you for 6 months or maybe a year or the football season or whatever. And after that, if you're not good, they're gonna cut that teat off and pull it out your mouth. And then you're gonna be like, what the hell am I gonna do now? Because you know you're in the portal, nobody wants you, and now you got no money. So not all these things are set up to really help kids, and also it's hurting, you know, the high school recruits, because a lot of these teams, you know, they want to go get some guy that's proven instead of, you know, developing a kid because they want to improve some position group, and you know, they can take the short route and get a you know, kid out of the portal. So it's definitely changing our game, but it's going to take a couple of years to get used to it before I think it's used the way it's intended and maybe most effectively. But it's very interesting to watch because I don't really know where it's going, but I definitely didn't think that Kyle McCord was going to go 11-1 for the Buckeyes and then go to Syracuse. That is just that was not something I had on my horizon when I looked out at the season. But
but I mean, remember, he went to the same high school as Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
And where did Marvin Harrison Jr.'s dad go to school? Syracuse.
Oh yeah, James has figured it out.
See, I told you, I can't believe I forgot to bring my tinfoil hat. I heard that, and I'm like, I heard that on Twitter, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, people. I mean, like, well, plus, like the Detroit-Dallas game, I swear to God, they had better film with the whole 2-point conversion than they did with the Zapruder films. I mean, I swear to God, at some point they're gonna like mouth out what the ref was saying before that 2-point conversion.
Did
he check in? Did he not check in? How is Congress not involved in this? I'm like,
it sure looked like he checked into me. I don't know, but that's a Buckeye boy, so I was cheering for him. And
right. That's what made me upset. Like, oh man, they took it away from Deck.
Take away from the damn lineman, man. It's not like the linemen get to catch a lot of touchdowns, Bryant. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
you know, every lineman in the country was like up, like literally up cheering at that point, no matter what. Right. Even the the team up north's offensive lineman too as well.
Yeah, no, except Ben Hartstock. He hates it when linemen catch touchdowns. He's like, he always talks about how that's taken away from the backup tight end. He's like, that could have been a backup tight end catching that ball, and he gets pissed when it happens. But anyway, Brian, we appreciate you coming on, man. And I know I checked out some of your guys' shows. I was watching the one with Jordan Hancock. I was watching the show with Coach Meyer. And if anybody hadn't seen it, man, go up and check it out. And definitely, you and Chimney do a great job. And I hope you guys keep doing what you're doing because it's really good. What do you guys got coming up down the portal here?
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, let us know, man.
Obviously, we just kind of talk about what's going on, right? So obviously, there's a lot of rumors going on.
When do you guys have the shows? Like when do you tape them?
We tape them on Monday nights.
Nice.
We tape them on Monday nights, and so they're usually available probably about Wednesday.
Nice.
If you're in Ohio, you can always catch us on Valley Sports, Believe in Buckeyes there. And then you can also get us on the platforms, Believe in Buckeyes on iTunes, Spotify, however you listen to your podcast. We've got a YouTube page as well, so we always try to encourage people to join there. We need more people there because we want to do a live show. So we got like no followers now. So trying to get more followers to the YouTube page for that reason. We just be following up on things, see what's confirmed, kind of give our thoughts and opinions. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about the way the season ended with coaches, what's going on in the transfer portal, and what's going on with this coaching staff, right? You know, who is going to keep their job and what changes will be made. You would think something would happen there, but we'll see. Yeah. But so we kind of take it 1 week at a time. You know, see what happened, what's confirmed. You know, we just kind of, you know, like everyone, give our opinion about the situation.
Well, man, absolutely. I love that interview with Urban Meyer, man. That was really cool. Talking to him about, him taking over programs and that he enjoyed taking over programs that were struggling as opposed to, ones that, had kind of some more structure in place. That was cool. Yeah, and I enjoyed that. So, and man, you're welcome on here anytime, dude. We appreciate you so much. I really appreciate you coming on today because we wanted to get your thoughts on some of this stuff, and we wanted to dive in a little bit on my team. Of course, we always talk about my team on here, but that's why.
No, really?
Hey,
is that possible?
Hey, James, if the Gophers were 56-8 in the last 5 years, we'd talk about them too, buddy.
Holy crap! I never would have guessed it. I mean, my God! But there's always those guys that want to fire Ryan Day. I mean, if you're going to get rid of him, you have to hire somebody. And when Jesus is a tier 2 candidate, you've got problems. I mean, 56-8 for Christ's sake. I mean,
my favorite thing is, when they're this is what Dabo was talking about. Even when they're 11-0, people are complaining.
You're not winning enough. You're not winning it big enough.
You're not winning by enough, or it didn't look good, while you're winning. I'm like, man, they won the game. Can we shut up? And it's like there's a reason he makes $10 million a year. Okay, he knows football, and if you know more than Ryan Day, maybe you should apply for the job because it pays well.
Right.
I think we should put fans in the portal too as well and see who else wants them too. I mean, or the Monday morning quarterbacks. Hey, there's quite a few of them that should go. Hey, Bryant, though, I think you should have a tinfoil hat corner too as well.
No, if we could
service and protection, right?
No, man. If you could put fans in the portal, we'd take about 10-15% of the Buckeye fans and get them the hell out because they do nothing to help the program. Complaining about this, complaining about these kids. I mean, Brian, you know this now that you're a little bit older. These guys are kids, man.
Yeah.
And they're not trying to lose. So ripping on them on Twitter doesn't help anything.
Well, no, not at all. Like you said,
it ain't gonna stop.
McCord was in the toughest position all year.
He couldn't win. If he did, it was expected to. There was no winning for him.
No, it's brutal, man. And like we discussed, I mean, it was a tough act to follow. I mean, we've seen what CJ's done for the Houston Texans. I mean, the Houston Texans have been one of the worst teams in the NFL for the last 3 years. He's got them on the verge of going to the playoffs in year one. That's so, right. Following that act is tough. And I hope he has a good season in Syracuse. I hope he does well because I don't think he's a bad kid, and I think he's a pretty good player. So
Marvin Harrison Sr. made it happen. So I mean,
hey, maybe Marv will come back for another year and join in Syracuse.
Be an Orangeman,
I doubt that. But anyway, we're gonna call it. But Bryant, man, definitely come back and see us again.
Yeah, we'll do.
Whenever you got time, man, come back and join us because we love talking ball with you. All right.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right. Have a good weekend, everybody. And thanks for tuning in. All right.